Everyone loves being praised for a job well done, and children are no exception. But did you know that not all praise is created equal? In fact, the wrong kind of praise can actually be incredibly harmful to our students. Today we'll learn how to give effective praise, avoid several common traps, and learn a nifty method and some do's and don'ts to make sure you get it right every time. So let's go. Unfortunately, too many teachers use praise the wrong way. Most don't praise their students enough, and the ones who do can still get it wrong by not being specific, or they end up doing it wrong and making things worse. But after today, these aren't going to be issues that you're going to have to worry about. First off, what is praise? The Webster's 1828 dictionary states that to praise is to commend, to applaud, to express approbation of personal worth or actions. Dictionary.com adds the act of expressing approval or admiration. Now, that's awesome and there's nothing wrong with that. But in my opinion, that's not quite enough. I mean, we don't want to just say nice things to our students. We want to inspire them to greatness. So we need a consistent framework to do that. And thankfully, there is one, and it's called character-based praise. And it does several things. First, it provides clear, specific feedback to the child so they know exactly how they're doing. It highlights both good character as well as good behavior, and it inspires the child to keep improving. It's also really easy to learn how to do. And more importantly, it will help you to avoid the issues that we talked about before. So what is it? Well, character-based praise is basically what it sounds like. It's pointing out words, actions, and attitudes that demonstrate positive character qualities, and then explaining how they have benefited one's life. We want to be intentional about praising the right thing in the right way. To help us do that, we're going to use what we call the DIB method. Not the dab, DIB. The DIB method is made up of 3 parts, each represented by one of those letters. So D is for definition. We want to choose a quality that best describes what it is you want to praise your student for, and then give them a definition. Now, don't worry, you don't have to be a walking dictionary. You can just make up your own simplified version of the definition. Second is I for illustration. You want to describe how the quality was demonstrated and do your best to be as specific as possible. This is important. A lot of people are vague when they praise good behavior, but you want the child to know exactly what you're praising them for. Thanks for your help versus thanks for picking up all that trash and throwing it away. And lastly, B is for benefits. You want to explain how the child's character benefited you, him, or others. You want to explain what's possible now because of their good choice. So you're going to say things like, now we can, or because of what you did, or thanks to you, or whatever they did helps us do, or now you'll be able to blank. And we'd like to include an enthusiastic encouragement. This could be verbal, nonverbal, or both. Things like, good job, nice work, way to go, that's awesome, or smiles, high fives, fist bumps, and shoulder squeezes if appropriate. Here's an example. Rayo, hey, thanks for being so quick to get in line. That's called punctuality. That means you are on time. That's gonna help us get to our next activity without being late. Good job. Now here are a few do's and don'ts to help you begin implementing this method. First, do praise immediately. Don't wait. You want to make sure that the child knows that what they did was awesome. In fact, praise them publicly. Let the whole class know. But don't compare with other children. You want to praise publicly, but you want to avoid comparing your most well-behaved student with the class troublemaker just to prove a point. It's not worth it. Highlight the correct behavior and then leave it at that. You do want to be genuine and personal. You want to praise the child for that unique quality they showed by what it is that they did. And you don't want to flatter. It's tempting to want to earn brownie points and get on the child's good side, but you want to just praise them with no strings attached. And don't show favoritism. Some students are going to be easier to praise than others. You want to be fair and even-handed. The power of praise is incredible. Unfortunately, we often leave it untapped. Praise should be used to draw the students up to your expectations for them. When you have clear expectations that the students can achieve, and then you encourage them in that direction through praise, you generate inspiration inside of them. Now, to make this work, you must reverse your attention. That means stop focusing on the undesirable and choose to focus on what it is that you want. So here's an example. Scenario A, your students are starting to act up and you call for order. You are voicing your expectations. Now, the majority of students go right on misbehaving. So you start pointing out the ringleaders and tell them to stop. They don't, so eventually things escalate, some disciplinary action takes place. Now in this case, you had expectations and you administered proper correction, but you neglected the power of praise. Scenario B, your students are starting to act up and you call for order. You are voicing your expectations. And then you see one child who's kind of paying attention. So you focus on that child and you publicly lavish on them all the praise you can muster, calling out the exact behavior that you're praising. Okay, you're showing them specific praise for reaching that expectation that you had for them. Now, guess what? Others begin to notice and more follow suit. So then you begin praising them enthusiastically too. And most of the time, that's all you need. Around 80% of the children are going to settle down almost immediately. And then you can deal with the misbehaving ringleaders swiftly, or you can try and push through the lesson. The effect is almost magical and it's incredibly effective. And that's the power of inspiring through clear expectations and specific praise. We recommend praising 10 times more than you correct. Now, this may seem like overkill, but studies have shown that the ideal ratio of praise to correction in the most successful teams that were studied was 5 to 1, 5 praises to 1 correction, versus the least successful, which was 1 to 3, 1 praise every 3 corrections. We believe 10 is a great number to aim for because even if you fail by half, you're still gonna end up in the sweet spot. Now, here's the reality. If you've worked with children for any length of time, answer this question. How likely is it that you will have to correct a child in your class next time? It is 100%, right? So we already know that. Now, you wanna praise 10 times more than you correct, and you know that a correction is eventually coming. So why not make it your new goal to see how many of those 10 praises you can get out before they need their first correction? Sadly, many times, the first real one-on-one interaction a teacher has with a student is negative. It's kind of like, hey, you, what's your name? Yeah, you're in trouble, go. This should not be the case. By the time a child needs to be corrected, they should already have half a dozen positive interactions with you first. What's the best way to ensure that this happens? It's pretty simple. If you see something, say something. See, most of the time, we overlook the good behavior because it's expected, and then we focus on the negative behavior that we don't like. It's kind of like the mom who sees the one sock on the floor instead of the mostly clean room, right? Stop focusing on the negative. If you choose to be alert to all the little good things, you're gonna see them. You can call out these small wins for your students. Praising the wrong way can be a life-altering event for a young child. Now, of course, none of us would intentionally praise bad behavior, but many well-meaning adults use praise in a way that damages a child's formation and future. We say things like, wow, you got the answer right. You must be so smart. Now, this sounds positive and uplifting, but what the child hears is, you got it right because you're smart. But what happens if they don't get it right the next time? Does that mean they're not smart anymore? Since a child can't control if he's naturally smart or not, his success is now totally left up to chance, which leaves him feeling powerless and afraid of mistakes, since failure would threaten his identity of being smart. So now he's going to avoid or hide his mistakes to try to save face. And that is a lot of pressure to put on a young child. So remember this, never praise a child for something they can't control. So what do you do? Well, the simplest solution is to focus on their character. Instead, we can say, hey, you got the answer right. You were paying attention, or working hard, or you didn't give up, and so on. Then the child hears, you got it right because you paid attention. In other words, because of your good choice. So now if they get the answer wrong next time, they know just what to do to fix it. They need to pay attention, or work hard, or refuse to give up, and so on. Since the child has full control over his decisions, his success is now basically up to him. This makes him feel in control of himself and unafraid of making mistakes, because mistakes have nothing to do with his identity now, and they can be easily fixed by simply making better choices. By praising character-based behavior, you can teach your students valuable lessons that will serve them the rest of their lives. So here's a quick summary. Praise your students generously. Aim for a 10-to-1 praise to correction ratio. Don't take good behavior for granted, no matter how small. If you see something, say something. Use the DIB method to guarantee that you are specific in what it is you're praising, in the quality that was shown, and the benefit. And avoid damaging your students' self-identity by focusing on their character and their effort, not just the results they get or their effortless abilities. When you use these tips to praise your students, you can rest assured knowing that you are making a big difference in helping the next generation thrive.